coming right there.
Welcome back. We've got part 3 in our series on our little roundtable of self-defense and combatives here. Can we even say combatives?
No.
Use the word to define it.
Demonetized.
We got to define it.
As a matter of fact, that brings us to this this first question that we have here. All right. Question from the peanut gallery, that's you guys out there in TV land. What exactly is combatives, and what is the closest style of training to it, such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, Krav Maga, etc.? Who wants to start that for Z?
So, combatives in itself, I think, is not even really a word. It's just something the Army made up. I think because I've typed it in Word documents, and then it comes up as like, fix this, there's something wrong here. Did you mean blah, 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 blah? And I'm like, no, I mean combatives. So it's not even recognized as a real American word as far as I'm concerned. But the military had the U.S. Army in particular, they call it different things in different military branches, from my understanding, and I'm sure you know Israel.
We just say Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
Everything.
Krav Maga is not a technique. It's just that's what you do when you're fighting. It's
Yeah,
you do.
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga. It's combatives.
It's literally contact fighting. That's it.
So the military kind of determine what they're going to name their program, and for the Army in specific, which is my background, Carl's background, combatives is just naming their program. So I think the Marines call it something else, some acronym. Y'all know it, I'm not sure. And then I'm sure the Navy and the Air Force calls it tickling or something like that. I'm just kidding. So,
Don't be bashing the Air Force, man.
they're great.
The Air Force is an excellent alternative to military service.
Yeah, if you don't want to do military, but you want all the benefits. So combatives, specifically what it's based on now, the modern day combatives in the Army is based off jiu-jitsu and then aspects of striking that are involved in Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing. All right, so it includes a lot of those, but a heavy emphasis on jiu-jitsu. Not because jiu-jitsu, as most people think of it in a box, that you're going to be laying on your back doing things with your legs. It's more about the principles of jiu-jitsu, controlling your body, being mobile, being able to get up off the ground, being in what I like to call it the worst case scenario in a fight where I'm on the bottom and they're on top, not because I'm not capable on the bottom, but because I have less options than they do from the bottom. All right, so that's where it really focuses its efforts, and that's what we mean by combatives. For me, as I say it, I've changed the definition, and I say it just based off of, it sounds like, to me, when you say combatives, to the layman, it sounds like, hey, that's kind of like a mixture of things that you could use in combat, like fighting. Fighting, you may think one thing when you hear fighting, but I think there's so many concepts and genres and facets of that area that fighting means a large general area. So I think the same thing when I hear combatives. I think that could be with a weapon. That could be me and you in armed conflict, like in a war. That could be me and you just in the ring, boxing. We're doing combatives. We're mimicking combat, or we're actively involved in a combat situation. That's combatives to me, and that's, if I mention it, or somebody similar to me or from my clan mentions it, that's kind of what we mean, combatives. Not anything in specific, just everything that is useful in that realm. What do you think?
Yeah, to me, when I started shooting in the States after the military, I was shocked that it's not fighting, right? We don't fight when we shoot here. It's I will shoot you, but that's not what it is. When we train fighting back home, it's essentially like Krav Maga, right? No, it's also.
But you are correct. Most Americans have never been hit. Most Americans have never gotten physical with anybody. They don't. So they go to the shooting range, they shoot. A small percentage have done some form of martial art, but Americans have it in their DNA that they have the Second Amendment, where God created man, but Mr. Colt created all men and women equal. But the reality is yes, it's not a threat. It is a threat, but is it a threat that warrants deadly force? And not all threats warrant deadly force. So just one thing to add on the military combatives program is I don't want everyone as concerned citizens to get focused on, well, the military always picks the best and then that's what they need to go for, because I don't mean that in a bad way, but the way I want to mean it is a lot of it deals with when you come into, as an assault force or a military unit coming in doing a raid, hitting the shoot house, every paper target's got a gun in the hand. That's how they train. But the reality, when you hit a building, it might have 12 apartments in it, 3 stories tall, only one apartment's got a bad guy, and in that apartment, there's 6 military-age males, there's 7 wives, there's 14 kids, and there's 2 dogs. There's only one bad guy, and you don't know which one it is, and he doesn't want you to know. He's probably hiding inside the couch. So what do you do with all the non-combatant military-age males? You need to be able to control them. And when you're fighting, you're doing the Army Combatives program, a lot of it is geared around you taking someone and gaining control over them so that you and your partner can zip tie them. But the problem with that is if that's the only training you've ever done is one-on-one, that is not real life. I don't care if you can whip anybody's ass one-on-one on the ground. You're the most badass MMA guy. You beat anybody on the ground. You're the man. You're the man. You don't have 5 other assaulters in the room pulling support for you. You don't. If there are other military-age males there or females, they're going to be kicking you in the head. Yeah, those moves don't do it. So I caution people to say, well, I wish I could find a place that teaches the military combatives program. If you're in the military, you're already getting that, right? If you're not in the military, you need to be looking for instructors that are not going to just teach you sport fighting, but that want to teach you legitimate self-defense. And don't just, if that one dojo doesn't do it for you, find another one. You'll learn a little bit wherever you go. Anybody else got anything else to add? No?
You need to find what's realistic for you. If you are going to be going into an apartment building looking for that one bad guy, then yeah, maybe you need that training and you're probably already in the military getting it. Maybe you have a family to protect and you need to be able to understand how to control a lot of people around you and keep them safe and be able to deal with that. Or maybe you're on your own, you just want to be able to walk from where you work to your car and feel confident and be safe, and that's a whole different thing. So where combatives has a kind of a weird standpoint where it can mean one thing, okay, it's anything that you do in combat is going to be different for different people based on your situations that you find yourself in.
Or overseas.
Right, yeah. So I guess our answer was...
Who cares?
Who cares? It's just a name.
It does, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's totally different.
It's fighting.
Talking about a specific label on something, when I say it and when most people say fighting, it's fighting. What does fighting encompass? A lot of different things, and it might be different for you versus me depending on where you live, what you're doing day to day. Just like Amber said, so that's what it is.
Blood on the floor in your house is not any different than blood on the floor in somebody else's building overseas. It's still a combat situation. All right, next question. We've only got 25 more pages to go. For up-close self-defense with a firearm, I prefer a weapon light to extend beyond the barrel. My thinking is it would prevent the gun from going out of battery. I would like to know what your thoughts on that are, and this is from Motor City Phil. Phil, I don't know why your mama named you with the first name Motor City, but that's your question. No, I understand what you're talking about. Blaster. Blaster clear. All right. Most people, when they're running EDC pistols, you want it as select, so you use a low profile light. I understand what you're saying. What he's talking about is he prefers a firearm such as this one. Again, it's unloaded. Yeah. All right. Where the flashlight sticks out of it. I'm not flagging Amber. I'm turning it sideways so you guys can see it. Flagging your knee a little bit. You'll be fine.
It'll be fun. I have another one.
Training gun.
She's got another. It's a training gun, guys. What Motor City Phil is talking about is he likes having a flashlight here so that the firearm doesn't get knocked out of battery. What he's talking about is if you knock the front of the gun back and it is out of battery, it will not fire. Will not fire. He is correct by saying that. However, most of your striker-fired firearms, most of your modern firearms, the hammer will not fall. There's no hammer in this. All right? It is a striker-fired pistol. The firing pin is cocked. With it knocked out of battery, it will not fire. Right? As soon as it's closed back off again, bang, gun goes off. Right? Tracking? So it does not matter that it got knocked out of battery. All you have to do is pull it back off that person. Make sure you're not flagging yourself if you're balled up with him underneath the ground, and roll through the trigger. Mix metal and meat together, you save the day. It works. However, it also works with a flashlight that isn't flush or recessed, or a weapon that doesn't have a flashlight. I understand what you're saying, and that used to be the thought process with the 1911s. The SEALs for a while were running a guard on the front of their 1911s to keep them from being knocked out of battery. But it doesn't matter. If it doesn't go off when you pull the trigger, all right, if it doesn't go off, pull it back off of them and roll through the trigger again. I got my click. The sear broke. The gun would have gone off. But let's say it doesn't. You have to re-rack that slide. Your other hand, you're holding that neck. You've got the arm bar, whatever it is. You can rack that right, because that's how you need to do it. You need to be able to rack the slide. You need to know how to do that one-handed. Now, on the range, people show doing it with your rear sight off the back of a barricade, all right? You can use your belt, but why would I pull my firearm off of the bad guy, right? You can rack it on the guy's love handle. You can rack it on his belt. You can rack it on the guy's eye socket. I do not care. Rack the slide, get back in the fight, mix metal and meat together, because the life you save may be your own, and that will allow you to protect your family members.
What makes people worry about that little aspect of fighting somebody with a gun, Carl, is what you were saying in the question prior to, is that people aren't taught to fight, they're taught to marksmanship on the range,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're that close and I have to have a contact shot, training gun, and put it against Carl, probably because I've done a lot of things wrong up to that point, or they just got the drop on me and I wasn't able to address that properly, like by making frames, by controlling position, by establishing some frame or managing the space between us to get my gun out. Why am I getting my gun out now? If they got a hold of me, maybe I need to establish that they don't have a gun or not at that point. There's so many other things involved, right? And we're just talking about the gun. Why, like Carl's saying, racking off somebody's head, and that makes me think, if I got a gun and it didn't go off right away, then you're gonna feel the full blunt force of this gun against your head. I'm gonna hit you so hard with this piece of metal that you're gonna know that you're in a fight. And I think we all have that same mindset. This is not just something that goes pew and something comes out. It's a weapon in my hand, and if I've got it out, it means that, for one, I feel like I can't handle the situation without that gun, or you have something that's equal or surpasses this level of force, or there's a lot of you, or I have to get rid of this problem quickly in order to take care of other problems, and I don't have time to mess with you and control you necessarily, right? Like in a military aspect, I don't have time to, my buddies are counting me, I just got to take care of this threat and move on to the rest of the things that are in my, under my responsibility. So don't get caught in the weeds about all this stuff. Gun needs to be able to cycle, we talk about shooting from retention and all that stuff. Least of your worries, learn how to fight first. Learn how to use the gun, and then we got to put them together. And it sounds like a whole lot, Z, to be able to fight. Well, it is a fucking whole lot. It don't just come like magic, like I mentioned before. There's a whole lot of things that you got to consider. You got to manage space. You got to manage being entangled with another person, and how to get out of resolve that situation effectively, safely for those that don't need to be affected negatively around you. And then you can work this thing.
When we talked about it in the beginning, too, at the beginning of the series, when we were talking about you have to feel this, right? It's not enough to know, okay, I pull the trigger, it doesn't click, it's out of battery, I rack the slide, I go again. You have to be unexpectedly out of battery, be able to deal with the feeling, those initial fears of, oh my gosh, I squeezed the trigger, nothing happened, and rewrite that ship, get back in action. And if you don't train that, right? Yeah.
Wait, if you're getting punched or something went wrong, I'm just thinking, Emery brought something to mind. If you're getting punched or there's a problem with your gun, and I see it on the range all the time when people have malfunctions,
Don't
what do they
solve
do?
your solution.
There you go.
Yeah.
They
don't
get
solve
here. They forget about everything else.
Yeah.
So what if I'm getting punched and my gun don't
Yeah.
go off? You're immediately if you're focusing on that, you're losing position at that point. You're getting knocked off balance. So that tells me I got to be able to apply effective techniques again subconsciously while I'm thinking about other problems that I'm trying to solve at that moment. So what does that tell you? You got the level of training that you got to have to be able to do that subconsciously in the heat of the moment. You gotta have good training.
You gotta
It's
have
gotta
muscle
take over.
memory also.
If I focus on
Yep.
this racking
Yep.
and I'm falling down, now you're on your back and you got a gun.
Yeah, I don't care how fast you solve that malfunction, right? You got to go bite that guy's fucking throat out.
Yeah.
Let me address the gear part of this a second because it was kind of a gear question, right? When you're talking about a light that extends past your muzzle, it may help you a little bit with that. I don't know. It might get your light a little bit less dirty, right? Because it's a little forward. It's still going to get that black soot on it. The bottom line is, and this is my carry gun, right? I mean, the light here is not beyond the muzzle because mainly it's a carry gun. I'm trying to conceal it, right? I don't want some big monster on there. That defeats the whole purpose of my tiny piece of crap gun.
And us lazy humans, we're less likely to carry things if
Yep.
we're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
screw it, I'll do something else.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else to add?
Plus, I got to replace flashlights every time I have a malfunction in the shoot house, and I start beating up the targets. I'd rather, recoat the stupid Glock with my magic markers as opposed to buy a stupid $300 flashlight every time.
We've talked about this.
We have talked. I'm sorry.
Comments about Emery's personal issues that he has, please place them down in the comment section underneath this. All right, so while Emery went down that rabbit hole about beating his flashlight to death in the shoot house on the wall, that's okay. That's fine. We're going to work through these issues that Emery has. We love Emery, we do. All right, that's why
This
we
is a
sit on the
safe
panel.
space.
Why we make him part of the panel. All right, but what I do want to say is I've got a laundry list of great questions, so we're going to wrap this video up. Again, I want to thank Amber and Ryan for being here from Fit to Fight. And you've got more great videos in this series coming, the Round Table of Woe. We'll see y'all next time. Take care and shoot straight. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.